I chose to do my final project on the Powder Puff Derby. There are multiple things about this that seem to scream board game to me, mostly because it's a race, and so you have the obvious choice of going through all of the cities and trying to get there first. But also because I thought it was interesting to explore how people deal with the things that women were thrown into while they were in this Powder Puff Derby. For example, a lot of women had possible sabotage happen to them, they had horrible rocky stuff happen to them, and somehow they ended up going through all of that and still mostly making it to the finish line. Of the 20 women who started, only 14 made it to the finish line, but that's still pretty good odds, I think. So with this game, there are technically 4 different cards. You see 5 here, but 2 of these are technically under the same. So first of all, let's start off with the Your Safe card. So a safe card is pretty uneventful, but it does give you extra spaces that you can move when you play this card. A Rocky card is one that is a little troublesome. It will cancel out anything you have for your safe card, and also it will make you lose your next turn. A Fix-It card is specifically designed for the Rocky card, and it's made so you can counteract whatever is happening in the Rocky card. A Fix-It Challenge card adds a whole new thing to this because most women actually had to find a way that would be inventive and improv on their part of it, and so because of that, I added a sort of challenge to it so that people could prove that they could or couldn't do it. It was very possible that they would fail even if they had these Fix-It challenges. Some of them are a bit silly, like the one that is on the screen now, but a lot of them are very more closely aligned to what actually happens while flying. And then lastly, we have a Sabotage card. Sabotage cards cannot be fixed. They're just something that's handed to you. Kind of like in Sorry, when you don't really have a choice when somebody chooses to take you off of the board. All of the Sabotage cards and Rocky cards are things that actually happen in every single Derby race. This is pretty interesting because while you're playing the game, you get to learn about the crazy, zany things that happen to these women and sometimes how they even deal with it. For example, there's stuff in here about your carriage, undercarriage catching fire and you having to deal with that in the middle of a desert and all of that fun stuff. So, to play this game, you have 2 icons and you're going to put them at the beginning in Santa Monica, California. So you're going to go through all the cities that are listed on here and eventually end in Cleveland, Ohio, and that's how you win the game, is being the first to cross Cleveland, Ohio. So to start your turn, first of all, you have to deal out 3 cards to every player. We're only doing 2 players to make it a bit more simple, so these are our hands that we can look at. First of all, you're going to have to decide who goes first. You can do that with a die roll, or choose whose birthday is closest, or whatever you prefer. So let's say that this is the person that goes first. We're going to roll the die and see what we get. That's a solid 3. So we're going to move the first character 1, 2, 3 spaces. And then we're going to look at what they have to offer. So you have a Fix-It card, a Save card, and a Rocky card. Although you could play these 2 together, and you would cancel out any possible bad thing of that, you're not getting this extra point. So to be able to play this game, and you can only play 2 cards when you're playing, you're going to use these together so that hopefully you can just have a bit of a throwaway card and then also get the plus. And we'll leave that for our next decision. So we're going to play these 2, and we're going to get that +1 on there, land in San Bernardino. And then we've got nothing left to do, so we're going to have to draw up back to 3 so that we're ready for the next round. That is what they're going to have to play for the next round. Okay, then you're going to go to the next person. Once again, roll the die. That's a solid 6. So this person's going to move 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a little bigger than my thing, but there you go. So now we have to decide what to use with this. We could use these 2 together, of course, because that's another throwaway, and you could get the +1. Or we could use the Sabotage and force the other player that's with us to lose a turn. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to force this person to lose their turn with a Sabotage card, and we're going to have an extra +1. So it's going to move 1 more closer to Yuma. All right, so then it would be this player's turn, except they've lost their turn. And I forgot to draw up. So what they also have to draw up in the middle of that. But for these people, they have lost their turn, so then it would go back to this person, and they'd be able to play again and possibly sabotage them again. and so on and so forth. So you would do this until you reach Cleveland, Ohio. The thing is that this race was only supposed to last 9 days. So to try to keep that incentive to get it done as quickly as possible, I have written in that on the 9th turn, if nobody else is reached the Cleveland, Ohio itself, then you can add +3 spaces to whomever is in front. So for example, it would be this one in this scenario. You would add 3 spaces so that hopefully they get a lot closer, or at least as close as possible to Cleveland, Ohio, and speed the game up a little bit more. So, as I said, everything in this game is something that actually happened. Things like this aren't really noteworthy, and I didn't have to find a site for those, obviously. But some of them, like carbon monoxide poisoning, or getting lost in Mexico, or undercarriage catching on fire in the middle of the desert, as I mentioned earlier, all of those are real events that actually happened. There's one in here that explains that a woman was arrested for being considered a dope smuggler, and so on and so forth. Not that she actually was, but the policeman surely thought she was. So, it's very interesting to go through the entire thing, and I've actually played this with my family just as a sort of test run. It was interesting to see their reactions to how the women not only dealt with what they did, but also what exactly they went through.